match is now officially a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match.
Broken, thankless, push you down, open.
Ethan, we're back on two separate monitors, and god damn it, of course my camera would start fucking up now.
Two separate monitors, but we're in the same house, ladies and gentlemen. I'm upstairs, and as always, he's a bottom.
I am your boy toy twink male wife here.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible that we started off that way. But this episode is not about us. We are not talking about current landscape of wrestling.
Gives a fuck. We're only in the biggest season in wrestling. Who gives a fuck about wrestling right now?
It's the road to WrestleMania. Anyway, more importantly, we have a very special guest tonight. Clinton, would you like to introduce everybody to professional wrestling's Monster Hunter?
Yes, but before that, I am Clinton Davis. You can find me at PK Batman on Twitter. To my right, as always, is going to be Hoochie Daddy James. You can find him at Hoochie Daddy EJ on all socials. You can find us at On a Forklift Pod everywhere. And now bringing on our special guest tonight, he is the Monster Hunter. I've been a big fan of his for years. I've been looking forward to this one. We have Matthew Palmer here with us.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It is absolutely fantastic.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic as well. You guys talking about the Monster Hunter. I have some sad news. As of last month, I stopped doing the Pro Wrestling Monster Hunter. But don't worry. It's in the back pocket. I just currently stopped doing it because most of you probably have no clue who I am. But those of you who do know that I love changing my gimmick every handful of years. It's my favorite thing about wrestling is changing into an entirely new character every so often. I've done male models, psychopaths, I've done racists, I've done killers, I have done now Monster Hunter cartoon characters. My next one I want to do is stupid and no one lets me do it, but I'm gonna do the best to do it. I can't spoil it for you just yet, but it's gonna be fun.
Well, we will make sure to stay tuned and spread the wealth when that happens. I was going to say, speaking of your characters that you would do, your gimmicks, if you will, you were the centerfold, and it uses one of my favorite songs, as, the Jay Giles Band.
Yeah.
So I've never thought of that as an entrance music, but that's a banger.
I needed a shtick to get into the door to my first wrestling company, and they're like, what if you were Matt Classic or Rug Burn Matt, or what if you're, and it's like somebody was like, give him male model something, and then that became me going, well, there's this song I like from the 80s, can we use that? And then off to the races, man. It was the first entrance music, first shtick I got. It was a blast. I did that for like 8 years until I stopped looking as pretty, and I was like, I guess I better change this.
Clint, it's the same way I got in with my song. That's all I did. I had a song.
That song got me a free pass at Universal in Florida. Somebody saw, it's like, is that Jay Giles Band? I was like, yeah, and they gave me free tickets.
That's awesome.
So it's like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So we had a guy out in Michigan, and his name was Mark Ross. And that dude came out to In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. And when we say he came out to it, he came out to the whole song.
Oh yeah.
So and he would not hit the curtain until the doo 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 doo.
I did the same thing, except I wasn't waiting a minute and 33 seconds, I think it is, for the song.
Oh no, it was 3 minutes before
it was some ridiculous time. It's like, that's evil. That is
do your
evil.
research, Clinton.
Make me sit there. I hate that. Could you imagine sitting there for 3.5 minutes? I hope this guy's good.
He either opened the show or he closed the show. Mark never wrestled in the middle of the show. So it was either the first guy came out super hype, crowd's hot, and then you're sitting there and you're waiting, and you're like, lights go down, and usually it was at a bar, lights go down, and you're like,
that's one of those moments where, like, it takes so long that the shtick might be funnier if you walk out and get the mic going. I didn't like that cue. Start it over, and you walk back in, make them.
No, because it would be like they'd be backstage and be like, "All right, everything's curtain to curtain except Mark Ross's match, which is bell to bell."
Jesus. Fun. Yeah, we used to have guys in Texas that would. I'm from Texas, so we used to have guys in Texas that would do that until one day, my buddy Richard, who runs a lot of shows now, is like, why don't we just edit out the first 2 minutes? Why? Just start at the chorus. Just start at the chorus. No one's waiting. Anyway, all right, go
on. No, you're good. Well, you said that you like to change your gimmick every so often. It's the best
all the time.
It's the best part about wrestling. So what things outside of wrestling inspire your gimmick changes? Because like the Monster Hunter, I just assume you played a lot of Monster Hunter Worlds and you were like,
very little, actually. Very little. I watched the movie because my wife likes Tony Jaa. And so I watched that movie and I played the beta test, I think, for it a long time ago. But no, I became the Monster Hunter because it was COVID, and I was just stoned all the time. And so I grew up watching old, like Vincent Price movies and 1930s, 40s, and 50s grade B horror movies and gangster movies. And so I just got the idea from watching an old Dark Shadows episode. I was like, this is an interesting character. Was it Dark Shadows? I think it was Dark Shadows. Johnny Depp did a remake.
Yeah, of a movie, it was Dark Shadows.
Okay, so I remember that because I was trying to show my wife the inspiration for movies. Anyway, so I saw that. I was like, that's a cool look, but I'm 5'7". Like, I'm not going to go in there and make some poor sap be like, I guess I have to sell like this guy's the Undertaker. So I was like, well, I could do these shticks and I can do these bits with those giant monsters. This gives me the chance to go from, hey, here's a 5'7" cruiserweight. Let's shove him with the other 48 guys into this one match. That all look the same and weigh the same, and I get to work with Carver or Gangrel, like we mentioned earlier for the broadcast, or Boogeyman or stuff like that. I get to work with these monsters, and it was a lot of fun. I feel like I wrestled everyone that wasn't signed at one point. And I was like, you know what? Maybe a miracle will happen and I'll wrestle them. But, not the case. But I had a blast doing it. I got to do some spots where like I accidentally killed off wrestlers because they would. I had like the stupid little potion spot, and I would get to do the Hulk up thing, and that was completely unbelievable. But then the other wrestler would drink it, and we would kind of like flip a coin on what they wanted to do that night. Some guys would turn, like I had a guy wrestle that was like 5'3". He turned into the Undertaker. He just did the Undertaker's entire spot, and he just threw me around the ring and shit like that. And we're like, what the hell? I had Alex Shelley die. He drank it and just died. I had to do CPR to get him back because the promoter was mad at me. And it's like all in the ring, by the way. It's all done in the ring. So it's I had a blast doing it. I get to do all these unique ideas and characters. I worked with Tyler Breeze and Dan the Dad and had a entrance off of like, I didn't like my entrance, so I went back and did it again. And they didn't like theirs, so they went back and did it again until the point where like I'm coming out like Triple H, but still totally decked out in this powder and eyeliner, like a Johnny Depp character, trying to do the water mist and choking on it. And it's just a lot of blast because I get to be just this goofball character. Like no one's going to be like,
did Dan spill his coffee on the way to the ring?
Not a drop. Not a drop. What a pro.
What a pro.
What a pro. Hasn't spilt a drop in 5 years, I think it is.
We actually have someone asking, have you wrestled Congo Kong?
I don't think I have. Was Congo Kong a Texas guy from San Antonio? Did he live out in San Antonio for a while?
No, you would know.
Okay, Kong. No, I wrestled a different Kong then. I don't think it was Congo Kong.
And then we have Reed's popping in here. Reed with one of my favorite humans and wrestlers. So
hey, Reed.
Well, also you talked about all these people that you wrestled. You also had one of the weirdest matches of last year with Paul Hauser, a Golden Globe winner. And I watched like the second like that dropped. It was on YouTube. I was like waiting because it was like it'll be broadcasted this day, and I'm waiting for it.
That was a blast. What a sweetheart of a guy, first of all. What a nice freaking guy. That's just a pleasure to deal. I'll wrestle that guy every day of the week. That guy is far more pleasant than most famous dudes I've met. That dude is awesome. he gave me like a thank you card. Like I it's downstairs. I would read it to you, but he gave me a thank you card, one to me and one to Sammy Callahan, the promoter, just basically saying thank you for giving up your body to let me have this moment. Thank you for taking the pin. I really appreciate that. He's like, it was all on the up and up, very respectful, something that a normal young wrestler would have done back in the day that you hear about in somebody's book. And it was like, this is just a nice freaking guy. Just a nice freaking guy. And so we go out there and he's like, yeah, you can throw me on the toys. And I was like, oh my God, I remember stepping on those. Like, you want me to slam me? I was like, yeah, I'll take it. You're taking the moves for me. I was like, what a nice man. Like, what a nice freaking guy. Because he could have totally been like, I'm not taking anything. And Sammy would have been like, he's a Golden Globes. He kind of has like, all right, it's like, I get it. It's like, but no, it was awesome, dude. He was cool with doing the 6-inch blood spot. We did. I don't know if you guys got to see all of that.
It's one of my favorite spots of last year.
It was so fun. I was so happy it came off so well with just the sleight of hand and all of it, just being able to just get that coloring just right to spit it out. And he almost cracked. You could see him, like, he looks away and he hits me, and I spit at him, and I'm just looking at him like bug-eyed, looking at him like trying to get him to laugh at me before I take this fall. And he kind of smirked, but the camera doesn't catch it. But it was awesome.
So, question on that: you're not working with a worker, you're working with an actor. Mm-hmm. So you're working with somebody who's used to playing a character. What's the difference there, besides the obvious challenges of like not being a traditionally trained professional wrestler? Is that harder for you to work with because the acting styles are a bit different, or did that just add to everything and make it better?
I do so little nowadays that I don't have to worry about that aspect.
Okay.
So I don't have to worry about the aspect of what I need to do in this match. I'm mostly just paying attention to see how their timing is. It's like, he's an actor, so he knows he's got to ham it up in the spotlight and all this kind of stuff. I just got to make sure he doesn't do it too long or doesn't do it too short, just kind of stuff like that. But the rest of it was like, I train people throughout the week as well at a wrestling school. So it's like, I can wrestle myself for the most part, as long as he's there on a couple things. So we kept it safe. I didn't have to worry about him throwing me too far. We did one spot where he gave me the butterfly off the top. That was like the one major thing I was going to take from the guy. And so, yeah, everything was fine. It's fairly easy. But then again, I've been doing this for 17, 18 years. So it's just like, it's another day. It's just another guy I'm wrestling. And thankfully, this guy happens to be a sweetheart.
Yeah, he is from what I can tell, an absolutely down-to-earth person, which very much yourself is that. To just run through a couple of... What?
Seems like one of those celebrities that doesn't realize he's famous, even
doesn't let it go to the head.
Yeah, because he, like, as a guy who has a Golden Globe, he just seems like he's Stingray. I love me some Stingray.
He's wrestling Matt Cardano coming up at one of the Revolver shows. I think it's the March 16th show, I think it is, or March 16th or March 28th. I can't remember. He's wrestling Matt Cardano. I think he's trying to like wrestle Dustin Rhodes and Jeff Jarrett. It's like, this guy's getting a hell of a resume together.
He is. I have to add, okay, so I'm gonna piggyback on this. So Cardona calls himself the king of the death matches. You used to call yourself the king of something else. Uh-huh. How and that's one of the best shirts.
Oh God, no, I hate that. I hate that.
That's why we're not going to bring. I'm not going to.
Oh no, we can. Just... I mean, we can. Here, I'll allude to some stuff, but I have no issue hiding it. I did dumb shit, and I will admit to it. I did a racist character. For those who don't know, my wife is black, and so an improv bit that we were talking about, a Family Guy skit in the back, somehow made it to an announcer position, a commentator.
Does.
Not through me. It was an improv comedian who came onto the show as a manager. She let it slip. It was all like, ha ha ha. Okay, let's keep moving, right? Then the promoter had an idea, like, let's do this. We can play off of this. It's a very prominent thing. He sold me on this kind of social story. And then I was the idiot who came along with it. So we did a racist character. And my thought was, okay, no one's going to think this is real. They didn't think I was an actual male model for a point. They didn't think I was American Psycho, Christian Bale for a couple of years after that. You know, it's like they're not gonna see this as real. And holy crap, did everyone think that I was racist? And it was a dumb idea. I shouldn't have made the shirt, shouldn't have done the character anyway. I just got stuck behind this idea of like, oh, this could be really interesting characters. It's not like being an interracial couple. I haven't had to deal with some stupid stuff being said to or around my wife. And so it was just life imitating art imitating life. And it's like, hey, we can do something here. And it's honestly, it's not what people want to watch. It's not what they want to listen to when they're trying to escape from reality. I thought because it's like, this is a hot button topic. This could be something. This could be interesting stories. And the guy who pitched it was a screenwriter. And I was like, oh, this might have a little bit more tact and nuance and taste on it than a typical wrestling show. And it didn't. I mean, how can you do it? And then it's not like I was out there saying slurs. It was very like sexual based, you know what I mean? Like it's fetishizing things. And I was like, let's do that. This is the same city that saw me propose to my wife. That way they'll think it's neo kayfabe kind of. And it was just dumb. You know what I mean? It's just something I regret. It's the worst point of my career. I hate it. This is stupid.
One of those things that just, you're like, let's take a shot on it. It doesn't work out. And now it's, work past it, which speaking of, like you said, talking about changing characters, I'm going to run through a couple of things here. Reed says, Matt knows me. We go back.
Oh, yeah.
Reed's from the New York. He goes, and a pleasant dude for playing a bomber. So I had to get that one out there. So
we also got this one from him real quick.
Oh,
curious if Matt has kept count of how many times he's died.
I don't know. We kept doing bits with the Monster Hunter where I would die, just because the gimmick is most of these guys are big monster guys or 7 foot tall dudes or like the Boogeyman or Gangrel, but they're a little older. And for the most part, no one paid to see them lose. They're the heroes that you saw from back in the day. So I would lose. Well, how can I get over losing to where I get a little bit out of this and he also gets the win and sell all these merch at the end of the night? And it was just like, what if they just kill me? What if they really hit me with their move? They play some sad music and they just carry me out. And it's like, did he die? I was like, I guess he died. Who cares? And then just carry on with their life. You know what I mean? I've done it quite a handful of times. Sometimes I'll kill off the other guy if they're feeling frisky. But they always come back.
We got this comment here. Loved your work in CZW.
I think I wrestled twice.
Maybe once.
Maybe.
Mike, the guy that popped that up, he is one of those. He will dig the stuff out. Mike has a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. So talking about monsters, you were trained by a monster, and then you've got to wrestle said monster as well. Was that in the character? Because I'm intrigued to know how that went.
Whip that old man's ass. Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk, trained me back in 2007. But he initially started my training. A man named Wally Darkman, who also did like a very small but evil Willy Wonka character-esque kind of thing, trained me. And then a man named R.D. Evans or Robert Evans, who is currently a writer for Impact now or TNA now, basically mentored me, took me under his wing, and took me on the road with him as a tag partner for a long time. But yeah, Lance was my giant 6'7" trainer who couldn't teach me anything because I was a whole foot shorter. He's like, what the hell are you gonna? I can't teach you that. But we got to work at the Revolver show in Texas. First time I've been able to wrestle him in a dozen years or more, and it was awesome because I didn't have a young man's pride of like, Lance, what do you think about me suplexing you? And him looking at me like I'm an idiot, going, "You're right." You're right. So it was just, we had fun just being able to
have fun.
Kind of having it's like we just, the crowd can tell we were having a blast. At so many points, I made Lance laugh because I didn't plan anything with him. It was just here's what we do, and take lead, and then just watch me sell. And then I'm going over the top rope and I'm going over the guardrail into people's laps, and you can just see him just visibly like, what the fuck? Just like, okay. So I'm just screaming like a child. I'm grabbing people's ankles, like, save me. And he's dragging me. It's a blast. It's like, I don't know. I've fallen in love with being the performer amongst the wrestlers, and it's awesome. The Monster Hunter has been the best part of that. The best part of that gimmick has been able to just kind of treat the audience like we're at a Vegas show. You know what I mean? We're like, let's do some crowd interactions. Let's have some fun.
So do you spend the time trying to pop everybody else there? Like, is that a little bit of a goal for not just the audience, but like, I love it when people will get a ref to pop just a little bit, because that's always, to me, that's the hardest one, because they're not supposed to be noticed. It's like they're not there until they needed to be there.
I don't do it to the level of let's put the match at jeopardy, or let's ruin the kayfabe in the moment. But with like the referee, but like if I can like get the wrestler to laugh, for the most part, we know how to grimace and hide what we're saying anyway. But like I'm asking what we're doing for dinner. What's the next spot? Did you get paid? What? And then like stupid stuff like that. The guy's already whipped me off across the ring, going like, "What the fuck did he just say to me?" And that's it's like some of that's kind of fun. I remember years ago, this guy Nobi Bryant. I was wrestling him, and I was just telling him Chuck Norris jokes as he was beating me up in the corner. So I was a 100% job guy. I wasn't getting shit in. I think it was my first 6 months. I think I was maybe getting the drop kick in and getting beat up. And so I was just working on my selling, and I was like, well, I'm gonna talk. What the hell? He's not calling anything. So I just said Chuck Norris jokes. And
late 2000s, yeah, that checks out the Chuck Norris jokes.
Right?
God, I'm so water gets Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris doesn't get wet.
Right? There's a wrestler around here that's been because him and I just hang out in the back and we smoke and shit. And his whole goal now, every time, because I run camera, and anytime I'm camera when his match is going, he's trying to get me to break to make noise on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say his name, but the last time we were at a show, I'm like right next to the turnbuckle. He's waiting for his tag, and he looks down at me. He's like, Clint, what's my tag partner's name? He's struggling in there, and you can just hear me audibly just like, and I hate that kid with all of my heart.
That's fun, is talking to the camera people, and like I'll be settling down, and let's say like Alex Shelley's up here doing his spot, and I'll be settling down, and you'll have Tussle coming down with the camera, and I'm like, Tussle, get that goddamn thing out of my face. I'm trying not to laugh right now. And he's like, click, click, click. It's like, fuck you, get away.
So you travel, you were talking about traveling, being on the road. Obviously, that's the life of a wrestler. Clint always has a couple of questions that he gets through in an interview, but this is a great time for one of them about traveling or like you were talking about asking the referee about dinner. Clint, what's your question you usually ask?
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. It's very impolite of me to not ask you the 3 questions I ask everyone.
Okay.
Question number 1, what inspired you to be a wrestler?
I hate this question.
It's a dumb question, but
I watched wrestling, and I was like, I think I'm going to do that.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. We love that answer here. Second question, what video game has most inspired any gimmick you have had? Because as we talked, like I thought Monster Hunter or maybe Devil May Cry was your Monster Hunter thing.
Let's see. That is interesting. If it's just me and like willing to go headlong into a bad guy gimmick, I don't know. It could be any of the shooters, just making me turn to a sociopath. But maybe Skyrim. I would probably say Skyrim probably did the most. Because I took a lot of liberties from characters in Skyrim with the Monster Hunter look. I think I look like one of the Daedric princes in there for a bit. Like I probably that most likely, because I'm always looking for the aesthetic,
which is important.
I won because we got a tag team on this. Before you ask the food question, what's your favorite Daedric prince?
Oh, fuck. I don't really remember them all. I don't remember them all. Shit.
It's okay. Ethan asked really difficult questions.
Clavicus Vile is mine. When you have the dog and Barbarous.
Yeah, the dog's okay, but usually I just take the mace.
I do.
Yeah, it's just like, screw this dog.
The Mesa Molag ball. It's so good.
Yeah, he has the same voice as the other 5 guys in the game, so let him go.
Speaking of 5 guys, what's your favorite fast food franchise? Oh. That's the third question.
You know,
I want to know all that. I want to know about the 5 guys thing. What happened there?
Speaking of 5 guys, what's a restaurant? Or it's what I had to do to get by. I was a theater major. So I would say probably my go-to is going to be like Chick-fil-A, being a Southern boy down here that has something that is somewhat edible, that's a little bit healthy, even though they are what we call hate chicken. Because hate chicken. But they're usually the most readily available, sadly, in North Texas. Outside of that, Arby's, Whataburger.
Like McDonald's is like the big one here. Like
McDonald's is what you go to when it's 2 a.m. and you don't want Jack in the Box anymore.
We don't even have a Jack in the Box here.
You don't have Stoners where you live?
Dude.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we do. We have White Castle, though. We have White Castle and Ram's Horn.
My apologies.
I apologize to the king of the Stoner restaurants. I'm the weed supplier for half of Michigan wrestling.
I forgot. I'm so sorry. Sorry, White Castle. I am so sorry.
There was this. Okay, so this is a funny story, just because like the weed guy thing. I was at a show one time, and some dude was screaming slurs, like
they're the worst,
like the sexual derogatory nature. Oh. And then I was just like, "Hey man, cut that shit out!" And he got in my face, and I just walked to the back. I was like, "There's some dick who said he's gonna beat my ass," and like, there's a bunch of guys that I just bring weed for every time I come to a show, and that dude was not there for the second half of the show.
Donors assemble. Get that guy.
I went back there and got fucking iron baked Captain Weed and shit like that. I got the Avengers of Weed.
Hell yeah, yeah. Fuck those fans that are like that. I don't get guys that work that many hours a week just to pay that much money just to say something that they know they're going to get kicked out of a public setting for. Like what
exactly?
It's disgusting because we work predominantly with women's wrestling in Michigan because it doesn't really have the same spotlight as every man in Michigan does.
Yeah.
And we've been to shows where we've been recording women's matches, and the disgusting things we will listen to the men say while these women are performing is just it's those times where I'm ashamed to be a fan.
Dude, I had to turn around and say something to the ROTC color guard in one of the local NXT shows in Florida. Mm-hmm. One time they were saying some crass remarks, so I had to turn around and correct them. And this is like a low-level beginning of NXT kind of house show. And I was like, geez, man, you're at a WWE event. How can you be so ignorant? It's like, you can't say this here. First of all, somebody's going to whip your ass. Second of all, you're going to get kicked out. There's hundreds and hundreds of people here. You have no common sense.
Just don't say it in general.
Yes.
Don't say it in general. Be a decent person.
Be a better person.
It costs $0 to be a decent person.
I hate
and you sleep better.
Yes.
Well, let's switch on to something positive
here. Yeah.
You've got a show coming up on March 16th.
March 16th, yes.
Let me find, I uploaded it. There we go. We have got Metroplex Wrestling Presents Destiny on March 16th out in Texas. If you're in the area in the I have a speech.
Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie, Texas. It's a suburb of Dallas, Texas. So what's happened is, here we go. We got Aaron Eagle, Ocho Camacho, Trey Miguel, Angel Camacho, the younger brother, and Kari Jairite. We got, this is going to be our title match. Our Texas Rumble winner, Aaron Eagle, our former champion, versus Tommy Becker. Tommy Becker it's one of those guys that like I've been trying to like slowly show him to the Midwest and stuff like that. That guy's a hell of a technician. And if you ever had to go backstage and you're a camera guy and watch wrestlers cut promos, you're going to be there all night. It's like, Jesus Christ, just cut your cut your promo. And so like all night, Tommy Becker, one take. The guy is genuine. You know what I mean? It's like some guys don't have to put on the act or put on the gimmick. The guy's just a genuine good wrestler and smart entertainer. Shit, I'm late.
That's bad, too. He's a referee.
No. So, yeah, the March 16th, Destiny, Metroplex Wrestling. I bought Metroplex Wrestling about a year and a half ago. It started off as a backyard show, and through the last, I would say, 13 years, it became a weekly wrestling show in Texas. That was no longer a backyard show in actual buildings and shows. I bought it because the owner was tired of it. I bought it with Athena and another couple called the Pruitts. And right now, I am making endeavors to combine other local wrestling shows to create a larger, basically Texas entity. Because I brought a Revolver down with Sammy, GCW's coming down, Deadlock Pros teaming up with New Texas Pro Wrestling, and I was like, the market's there, but there's no entity that can just be like, this is ours, this is our home. Like, you can come in and visit, but we're here every week. And so MPX Wrestling has been running every Saturday for 13 something years, and it's like, well, it's time for all that hard work to pay off. So I'm trying to bring it more to the limelight. We're having talents like Chris Bay, Zach Winch, Trey Miguel, Brick Savage appearing, Exodus Prime, all these young talents, all these famous wrestlers on the indies, because it's time for Texas to be seen for what it is, and it's really one of the best hotbeds in all of wrestling. A place that can produce Shelton Benjamin, Booker T, Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, currently Athena, Keith Lee. You got JD Griffey. You got all these famous wrestlers and all these wrestlers that are signed or about to be on the cusp of their big pushes. Ricky Starks, all these guys. Sammy Guevara.
It's Brian Keith. Just got
Brian Keith. In 10 years, 20 years, those guys are going to retire. And they're hopefully all going to retire as famous, legendary wrestlers. And then they're going to come to Texas and continue to make Texas wrestling grow with all that knowledge and fame they had. And we're going to have an infrastructure for them to do so. Because instead of having these shows that only draw 200-300 people and pat themselves on the back, look at us. We did it. We ran against the other 30 shows in a 30-mile radius and did the same thing. It's like, enough of that. Let's have these guys, instead of having to work 5 different shows, why don't we just pay them 5 times more and combine into one arena so that we can have 5 times the audience? This is absurd. And that's what Destiny is. That's what Metroplex Wrestling is. We're teaming up with other promotions around the area, and we're trying to do real, true-to-God, fun wrestling shows, similar to like Revolver or Prestige or all those awesome Midwest powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
So Reed says something like Circus again.
It's bigger than Circus. What Circus did was Circus brought a ton of outside talent and then had some local talent there to fill in the roster, but basically just there for the outside talent to go over. And there was no plan on ever just doing outside of that. We were just going to pay for the prestige rather than pay for the prestige, but also give the rub to the younger guys because they have to stay behind. One day, Chris Bay is not going to be able to take that booking, and you just buried Ricky Starks and Sammy Guevara for the last 6 months to put these guys over. Now they leave. And who do you got? You can't hire them anymore. They got signed the contracts. Who do you got? Because the guys that you left behind are dead. You killed them all for some guy who brought in 3 extra people. You know what I mean? They made a ton of merch sales, but they crowded a room. It was like a 500-person room, and they crowded it saying, look, we changed wrestling. So you drew 400 people. What the fuck? You drew 400 people on a budget of $15,000 in talent. Do the math. Count the ticket prices. They're not doing great. So, like, you know what I mean?
Sounds
the promoters losing their ass because they're not going in the big enough venues. They're not trying to make this a thing. They're running spot shows. They're running quick fix shows. There's like, look, let me just hire these great wrestlers, but there's no booking involved. There's no story involved. You wrestle you, and who fucking cares who wins? You can't win because you're signed, blah, 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 blah. So they don't try to entertain the consumer. They don't try to give them an experience. They don't try to have them walk in like it's a movie theater when they walk in and they're getting their candy in their gift shop and they're sitting down to a cushioned seat. They're sitting in a hot ass room on a metal chair with no cushion, watching the guys that they watch wrestle on TNA wrestle each other. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my Wrestle Circus thought.
No, you're good, bro. That's stuff I genuinely like to hear because as people who work in the industry, we like to know what works and what doesn't work. And I have the same thought as you, is that there are certain promoters around here that do not spend enough time building the talent that they have up, they just keep signing the champions to take on this guy from TNA, this guy from GCW, this guy. So it's like you go into the show already knowing, well, okay, the champion's going to retain because there's no way this guy's coming back next month. And if he takes the title off him, then you don't have a champion next month because I already know he's booked on another show. That it's a whole it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and then they well, I mean, it's great because friends of my level get constant work. It's awesome at that level. But if you're going to make this a more consistent show, you know you're eventually going to have to cut costs at that level if you're not trying to get a larger venue, which most of those shows never did. They always want to make it look like they had a packed house. I was like, oh, it's all streaming online. It's like, they don't have that many viewers. It's like, come on, man, try to sell the live show at least. Like, don't cram into a 500-person building. Give me a 2,000-person venue if you have to. Like, I never understood that stuff. It was weird to me.
Like, you brought up NXT earlier, and NXT is a prime example of something that knew when it was time to expand because they started as a developmental thing, just 1 hour a week. And then they realized the crowds were getting hotter. People were falling in love with these characters that were on TV, and they were like, shit, we got to do bigger shows.
Yeah.
We can't like do a takeover here anymore. We could sell out a 16,000 seat arena based on Bayley versus Sasha Banks. We don't need the Bella twins over here. Or we don't need Cena and Batista and all that stuff. We have not homegrown talent, but talent that is becoming bigger stars here.
Yes. My dream would always be to have basically a sportatorium back. Have I would love that, to just a weekly place that you can wrestle, watch people wrestle, and it's just a large, fun environment. It's like, it has to be large. It's like I'm so tired of having to cram into these hot warehouses and sit on a metal chair for 6 hours sometimes. So just as a fan watching these shows, it's like, Jesus.
Collectively around here, I honestly, over the last year, a lot of the wrestlers said, look, we're not going to be on a show if it's more than 9 matches. Like, we're not sitting here doing this.
What do you want me to do that you haven't seen already?
We had a show one time, there were 12 matches on the card.
Yeah.
With an hour long, and we had to film an hour and a half long pre-show beforehand, so we didn't leave that building till after midnight.
12 matches on the card, and it started at 9 o'clock at night.
Yes.
If it started on time at all.
My match didn't go on until 5th, and that was 2 hours into the show. That was, dude, it was Rumble, and I was out in like 6 seconds, but whatever.
But then the guy learned for the next show. He was like, I'm never doing that again. It's 8 matches. Like even he was just like, that was too much.
Yeah, because he was in the main.
So you talking. What? MPX runs every Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock and it ends roughly around 10 o'clock. It's been that way for over a decade. It's not hard to do. I don't understand these guys that think they know how to book or write a show and be like, look, here's 48 matches. Isn't that fun? I was like, oh, God. Oh.
So I think, how do you think being a theater major has helped you in regards to the book, to that side of the create? Do you think that gives you? I mean, well, I don't even fuck what I just said. I think that gives you a huge advantage.
I think so too. I mean, it's hard to say otherwise because I was that before. I was an actor before I became a wrestler. But I think the ability to read scripts is what helps me the most, because I can read the script and know it's like, oh, this is our protagonist, but these are his weaknesses, these are his obstacles to get over, these are his downfalls, things like that. Whereas a lot of wrestlers like, I'm big, I'm a badass. A little bit more to that, bud. There's a little bit more to that. If you're a bad guy, you have. Surface. Yeah, I always had characters that had a weakness. When I was a male model, I was always vain, of course, which is an easy weakness to have. Pride is the easiest one as wrestlers. You can always get into a feud because coffee got spilt on your shirt and you're too damn prideful. You know what I mean? It's easy things like that. And for the most part, it's just theater class. That's just acting. But a lot of wrestlers, they go in to go, I cannot be vulnerable. Otherwise, I'll appear weak and I'll look stupid and everyone will hate me. And the reality is, like, you got to look vulnerable. You have to appear weak, and you have to have different layers to yourself as a performer and be willing to capture yourself in those moments and still give some crowd work. You know what I mean? Like you got like maybe it looks like you're crying because the guy's picking on you and you're 6'3". It's like maybe that's your character. Maybe the crowd can, because then the crowd can easily get on you and start picking on you. They're like, no, please, no, blah, 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 or whatever it is. Find something like that to make yourself vulnerable. And that's what I've gotten mostly out from my performances on that side. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're good. One of the biggest things for like, so we're not huge fans of a certain red and yellow clad 80s warrior, but
right. Yeah, me either.
Something that he did, especially during his best series of stuff, which was Andre the Giant, is he showed that vulnerability. So if somebody who at all other points in his career was basically like invulnerable to everything can show that vulnerability, that's when they start to actually get the endearing side of it. Look at the WrestleMania 3 match. He carried the whole thing. He's down there. He's basically crying. And all Andre's doing is just standing there with his arms outstretched. You know, he's doing nothing.
Right. But it's the ensemble cast. You know what I mean? We can't all be the Undertaker. Sorry, guys. Someone's got to do this. We can't all be Tyrion Lannister. Someone's got to be this. Someone's got to be this. Someone can't be. You can't be Jon Snow. You don't need 12 of those. And so, like the best indie guys that work, let's say, like Revolver, can just walk in, see where they are on the card, and know exactly what they got to do. Like exactly. The second match doesn't do this. That's what the first match does. The third match doesn't do this. That's what the semi does. You know, like, and stuff like that. Once again, anyway.
No, you're good.
I feel like I'm just rambling, getting off subject.
Here, let me help you out here. Let me get to a viewer question. What is your favorite wrestling theme?
Dusty Rhodes, Common Man. It's on my Spotify playlist. If I ever feel like I'm just having a downer day, I'll just play that. It's like, it's just, and honestly, Hulk Hogan's Real American is, it's amazing. I just wish it wasn't attached to him. It's just
fuck
like
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, like fuck Hulk Hogan. Why couldn't it just be given to the Patriot?
Listen, I've been saying for years now, and it's solely based off one thing: Macho Man should have been the biggest star of the
That's
team.
right.
Because,
you're goddamn right.
While everyone else was going like, "Oh, all these women need to be fit and petite and look good," Macho Man's like, Bull Nakano is a bad bitch.
Yeah.
Like, look how fine she is. And I'm just like, that's why I love Macho Man so
That's
much.
right. That's right.
No,
Macho Man was the shit, dude.
Yeah, so then we also have this one here. I choreographed my first wrestling match in a theater class before I actually learned how to wrestle. So the parallels.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's pretty easy. Like a lot of times when I'm talking to students, I use like Avenger movies to show examples. It's like, have you ever noticed, like in the beginning, Captain America shows up and beats the shit out of somebody, and then for some reason in the middle of the movie he gets the shit kicked out of him, and then later on he's fighting that same guy and you don't know if he's gonna win or lose because he got the shit kicked out of him earlier. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that weird? Like, you can do that for any fight scene, like any like that you want.
So like the parallels between wrestling and just almost anything in general. Like I always make the big comparison because there's people who in the wrestling business who are homophobic, transphobic, and all that stuff. Pro wrestling is drag.
Yeah, how can you? It's the truest form of theater left.
Yeah,
to me, it's the most vaudeville thing that you could possibly have. It's I am, for the most part, coming up with my character, my costume, my material, my training, everything. And some guy gets to pay me. And then when I do something awesome, they're screaming his initials instead of mine. Right. But for the most part, it's stand-up. It's dance. It's, there's violence to it, but there's very much a dance to it. I am half naked in spandex. Dancing with another,
burlesque.
Dancing with another fella, you know, is, you know what I mean? And it's like, who, you know what I mean? And it's all theatrics. It's all made up. Oh, it looks like I'm so mad beating the piss out of this guy, but it's all in agreement. It's all consensual. It's all, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's drag. It's theater. It's the most ridiculous thing. I don't understand how people can watch it and be homophobic or transphobic at all.
And I don't get it so going through trainings, first week in class, trainer pulls you aside. So I trained under Truth Martini, and he pulls everybody aside because somebody made a comment, and he goes, "Listen," he goes, "out of the ring, stand next to it." He goes, the easiest thing that you're going to understand is we're all going to be half naked playing with each other in our underwear. Yes. He's like, so if you have an idea that you think something's wrong or this is that, he goes, no. He goes, the door's right there and you can walk right out it.
Yes.
He goes, you don't have to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Moxley's the bloodiest man on TV every week, and that dude is straight up walking up to other men and kissing them on the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
He does that. Hold on, because that's a disturbing amount that he does that.
Yeah, he's been
non-consensually. That's the problem.
But we don't know. Everyone agrees to it backstage.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just I was here.
Man. Yeah. Dax has got that mustache. I get it. So
theater, though, what inspired you to take that route into theater? Like, what moved you towards becoming an actor? Or was it always just this desire to perform?
I always wanted to be a wrestler.
Okay.
I quick backstory, very sheltered life, very poor. And I saw wrestling when I was 4 years old. And when I say sheltered, I mean extremely sheltered. Like I was hidden from society, living out in the country with no floors. Like I had dirt floor for a home. And so I was very sheltered. So I only got to watch wrestling on Saturdays, and I happened to see it on when I was 4 years old, and I loved it. But I was so shy, and I was kept basically from other people, other children especially. I grew up in a 1950s car club amongst tattoo artists and pinstripers and things, that people that lived in that real weird subculture. Mm-hmm. That's where I kind of grew up. So I was very shy, very socially awkward. And so a friend of mine, probably the only friend I had, Victoria Miller, got me into theater. Said, do this for me. Victoria was also happened to be very attractive. And so I was like, okay, whatever you say. Whatever you say. So I became, I joined the high school theater. I became a dancer for West Side Story. And I just kept doing that because I just wanted to break my shell. Like this conversation we're having now would be extremely difficult for his 15-year-old me. I wouldn't have it, honestly. I just wouldn't do this. And so I had to get over that. I knew I had to go and be 250 pounds of half-naked freak if I wanted to achieve my goals. Well, I never quite got to 250. I couldn't even get past 5'7" on the heights, but I was able to get over my shyness and my incredible introvertness with my years of theater that I did. I think I did it for I did it all through 2 years of high school and about a year of college. And then I joined a troupe trying to get a bunch of gigs in like very small levels, much like an indie wrestler, to the point where we would take the Luan that we would make the sheets for the background. We made hammocks out of them, and we kind of rigged them to the inside of an old box truck. And that's where we slept some nights. Much like indie wrestlers. I was living like a carny performer, like I was 19 all the way up until I was 20 years old. I think it was 19, 20. I did it for about a year and a half doing that while I was training to be a wrestler. So yeah, that's my theater. Yeah.
Well, that's important. Like the background, like theater for me, because I did theater as well all through high school. Like that was my thing. Shakespeare productions. I remember my senior year, which I wasn't comfortable with, but we had to do a play about the 9/11 attack.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to play a school principal who wouldn't let kids leave school because it was a danger. And I just remember going like, this is weird. This was 7 years ago. This is weird.
Yeah.
Feels too soon.
Bit soon. Yeah. Yeah.
No. You're fine. I'm trying to not roast you right now.
It's okay.
It's so hard. Honestly, so hard because who would let you be a principal? Who looked at you and said, this guy, he's leadership material?
Good guess. Good question.
I was like, did you even... I'm not going there. Anyway.
Dude, my job is essentially to babysit 4 stoners and make sure they walk weed out to cars. That's my job. Okay.
You work with kids almost half your age, and that's your thing. Unless they got rid of all the kids, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
I am a dad.
Matt, I draw a lot of parallels from that. I grew up with father in the car culture, things like that. So I get it. I wouldn't say exactly sheltered, but my first experience of wrestling was at 4 years old. So I get it, how influential it can be, and like how formative it can be at that early point in life. Because unlike a movie or unlike a TV show or something like that, or watching the USA Network and you had Walker Texas Ranger, then would go into Raw.
Yeah.
So like speaking of the Chuck Norris thing from earlier. That was just a super formative part of my life, was the grandeur of watching people out there. And then I was the weird kid for like the first kindergarten because nobody was watching it. And then roughly 97, 98, you had DX going off, and it's like second grade and you got a bunch of little kids running around.
Oh, I was such a snooty little shit. I'd be like, oh, you're the new fans. Oh, you're here for the Stone Colds and DXs. Let me tell you about Marty Jannetty. It's just like,
don't get us on the road. Don't get us on it.
Yeah, okay. I like bringing them up because
we're good. We're good. That's the whole thing with this channel.
Okay.
And he's going
1, 2, 3, kid.
No, our whole goal was we wanted to be part of the Marty Jannetty Dark Side of the Ring episode. We started this podcast with 2 goals in mind. We wanted to find Judy Bagwell, which unfortunately she passed after we started it. We did talk about Bagwell. The second, we wanted to be part of Marty's Dark Side of the Ring thing because we wanted to be like shadows and have this. I tried to interview the guy for a long time, and it's amazing for somebody who's perpetually or terminally online, never answers his DMs at all.
I don't think it's him.
I thought about it.
Well, I want to see if he knows about this. I just want to interview people from the 2002 classic, The Backyard.
Oh, so that is one of my former tag partner and my wife's movies that they used to watch together.
It's
I
her
couldn't
favorite
stomach
movie.
it. I couldn't stomach it. It's one of those movies I see, but I'm like, oh, I'm leaving. All right, I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm like,
that's it. I'm getting a hold of the lizard again.
Going to the park, guys. I'm playing some chess. I'm out.
We got a hold of a few people from it. One of them was just like, no, man, that part of my life is over. I was like, thank you. I'm glad you and your brother are doing well. And then the other one was the main guy from the movie, and Ethan reached out to him 3 months later, got a response, and then we never heard anything back after that.
He works night shift security at a casino in Reno, and he's just like, hey, man, I'll get back to you when my schedule allows. And I'm like, okay, Andrew.
I'm sorry that he's the busiest man in wrestling.
He's working.
But so what are some of your favorite movies to watch?
Oh,
because we talked a little bit about movies before the show.
I think my favorite movie ever still is Django. Like, I love Django so much. It's like, I think it's because I don't know why. I love it so much. It's probably because my father-in-law, we just get drunk on Crown and just watch Django on holidays all the time. And like, and the women are always like, why are you watching that? It's like, it's Django. And just, I love that. Let's see, Monster Squad, Team America, World Police is a lot of fun. I usually try to watch as many, I almost said adult. I don't mean that. Dramas, Oscar winning stuff. I try to watch those. Yeah, because normally nothing but cartoons are on throughout the house. I'm just watching around going, Jesus, more Gumball. King of the Hill. South Park again. All right.
That's an anime. That is an anime.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like, can't we watch I don't know, No Country for Old Men? Maybe. He's like, no, we're watching South Park.
So you're talking about Django, like the OG Django, right?
No, I'm talking like Quentin Tarantino.
Django Unchained. Okay.
I love Django Unchained. Sorry.
That has one of my favorite placements of music that doesn't fit the period at all. When they're going up to the house and Rick Ross is playing, that is one of my awesome. Like,
but it gets you hyped. The entire movie, I'm like, yeah, Django whip their fucking asses. It's like, get them, and the music helps. I'm swearing too much, but
don't fucking
not at all.
About it.
Not at all. We're not monetized. We don't care.
All right, good. I love that movie. What else do I usually watch? A Knight's Tale. A Knight's Tale is always going to be on.
It's a fantastic movie.
That's a background movie classic up there with like Office Space. It's like, it's always going to be in the background.
Office Space, Super Troopers, Roadhouse, those are background movies.
Occasionally I'll throw on a Wayne's World if I get nostalgic,
Oh man, speaking of Django, another part that I love is right at the end when he pulls up and lowers, "Hey, little mama." Like, I just love that. All this fucking chaos.
Hey, little troublemaker.
Hey, little troublemaker. That's it.
Oh yeah.
All this chaos just went on, and that's the ending line. Yeah.
Bro, all I remember from that movie was being in the theater, and it was me and my ex and my buddy at the time. We went and saw it, and we were the only white people in the theater to see that movie at the time. And my buddy is just sitting there stone-faced the entire time. Would not laugh, would not make an expression, was just uncomfortable. And I was like, bro, it's okay. And he was like, dude, I don't even feel like the cream filling of a Hostess cupcake. I feel like the drizzle on it.
No, I don't remember the demographic of the building, but I remember everyone laughing their ass off.
I was dying.
Like people would die, and you're like, yeah.
Like, oh man, you're gonna get him on this.
Hot Rod is awesome.
It's my second favorite movie of all time.
Hot Rod is awesome. I love me some Hot Rod.
You're looking real pretty, Denise.
I mean, you look shitty. Good night, Denise.
Just the musical montage they have in the middle of the movie.
I don't know why a wrestling promotion hasn't done the Hot Rod gimmick, where it's a father-son, and the son's got to wrestle matches to get his father better, so he can have his final match.
And his father's just beating the piss out of him backstage.
Yeah, his father
that's one of Ian McShane's best movies.
I'll try to get older. I'll come up with that student to do it with.
Ian McShane has done these legendary acting performances and all kinds of stuff, and his best performance might be as Rod's dad.
So let me, because I have this queued up. I wanted to run your promo video for your show because I wanted to promo it at the midway. And
I don't think it has sound added to it, so go ahead.
Let me see.
No, it doesn't. Okay,
we can talk over it.
But yeah, that's my first ever women's champion, Erica Torres. We finally have a women's title. Athena made sure of that, and I'm very happy with the division we're building there.
Lots of talent from other promotions, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, Wrestling Revolver. It really feels like I always compare shit to PWG back in the day when they would gather people from different promotions and say yo, we're running this show. Everyone that you see on your favorite DVD is going to be at this show.
And I've made sure that any guests that we bring in are also guests that we have brought in before, and we will continue to bring in. It's not just gonna be oh, here's the guy just to sell tickets for this week. He won't ever be back. Because every single one of those guys has wrestled for MPX before. They will wrestle for him again. And so that way, when I have title matches, people actually buy it. Because sometimes they win.
Yeah.
Sometimes they win, and the guy's like, well, you just gave that guy your belt. And I say, yeah, it means he's going to be back. Aren't you happy? It's oh. It's like, stop
just taking it and running.
Yeah. It's he's just gone. He's just gone. Sorry. He beat the local guy and left.
Gone forever.
I've got popping that up.
No, we're not getting on that tonight, Reed. He doesn't need to know. No. So that was a good question. Does Metroplex have a streaming home yet, or is it still a local deal?
We're just on Twitch right now. Twitch.tv/Metroplex Wrestling.
So on the 16th, they'll be able to watch the show on Twitch.
If I sell out, I'll put it on there. That's the deal I've had. Is that each week, because on the regular weekly shows, it's hey, throw me 5 more subscribers, and I'll leave the camera running for the last hour. Because usually I just do half. And then for these big shows, if it's sold out, I'll be okay, yeah, go ahead. Here you go. It's free. Watch the whole thing. Just because, I made the door. That's what I want. Because I know wrestling fans. I'm they have a streaming site. How much cheaper is that than having to go and it's you know what I mean? So since I'm just now starting to get it off the ground, we're just doing that. Hopefully one day I can get on Fight or Triller. I'm trying to pair up more with Sami Callihan's Revolver stuff to make those dreams of fruition. Just cannot wait for that to happen.
Well, if you ever have a match that you would like us to throw up on our channel for you, we would love to add it to our collection.
Oh, of course. If you guys ever get the chance to watch Matthew Palmer versus Green Ant on YouTube, it's my favorite match ever.
It's fantastic.
It's the best match ever.
I think I have that on one of my Chikara DVDs.
If you guys want, you can go ahead and play it.
I have it on DVD in a box.
Awesome.
Like I said before, it's bootlegged.
It's so. Oh my god! You're watching some of the roughest DVDs.
It's up there. See, that's what we weren't going to talk about though, because Clinton's favorite animated film of all time is the cinematic adventure known as Ants.
It's not. It's not. My friends are gaslighters and pieces of shit. So to tell this story to you, just because, whatever, I picked up my two buddies, their brothers, for golf.
Okay.
And I had to drive them 20 minutes. And they are like sitting in between your anxiety and your depression because they don't shut up. And they just keep bouncing shit off each other. So as I'm sitting there in the car driving, little brother goes, Clint, what's your favorite movie? And his brother in the passenger seat, without missing a beat, goes, it's the seminal classic Ants. Clint never shuts up about it. And they did that for 20 minutes in the car, and I couldn't say anything. I get to the golf course to meet up with him, and he's just like, you okay? I was like, I almost kicked him out. I almost left him on the side. It was about to be just you and me.
You don't like the Woody Allen classic Ants?
Not ever since Ethan called me a Woody Allen apologist during a stream one time.
Woody did nothing wrong. He just made great film.
Do you know how many copies of Ants I own now?
Keep your stepdaughters away from them.
I own 2 copies of the DVD, the VHS, it on Blu-ray. I own the copy of Ants Extreme Racing on PlayStation 2 and Game Boy Advance, and I've never bought one.
Sounds like your favorite movie to me.
Yeah, I don't know why you're trying to fight it so much, bro.
Right?
Well, I got one more question for you,
yeah,
because we work with a lot of younger talent, people who are just getting into the business. We talk to them a lot. What advice can you give them?
Quit. Quit. Just give up. There's other stuff to do. Okay. My first thing is, like we were talking about earlier, don't go in trying to be the big badass all the time. If you are built like the big badass, that's a different story. But for the most part, young wrestlers are still growing into their body, and they haven't quite, fully formed on what they're going to be casted as. Some guys are starting out young, and by the time they're 22, they've grown an extra 6 inches of height. And so they started off as like the quintessential technical wrestler, cruiserweight, and then they got real lanky. And it's like, well, you can't be 6'4", 150 pounds. So you got to put on size. So I would say you got to start working out. You have to be working out. This isn't something where I go to training and that's my workout. That's your training for your job. You still have to work out. You still have to look the part. I know the idea is, well, Kevin Owens this, but there's only one. You know what I mean? There's only one Undertaker on the show. There's only one Everyman on the show. There's not 12 Dusty Rhodes running around. You know what I mean? There's just the one. There's just the one charismatic fat guy. There's just the one charismatic 5'7" guy. So don't get stuck in that I need to be the best wrestler. Try to be the best entertainer. Try to find the archetype that you fit on a show and take that spot. You'll grow from that spot to the positions you want. I promise you, if you do an excellent job and treat yourself like a professional and a star, you will grow from those spots. You're not going to be like the fry cook who can't get promoted because he's too good at putting salt on the fries. You'll grow, but you're not going to get those main event spots. Swallow your pride. Don't even go for them yet. Try to find where you fit and learn from there. Anyway.
No, that's great advice. Ethan should have heard that before he made his debut.
You'll always find the guy who's a little bit bigger than me, and I've already told you my stats. I'm not a huge guy, but they're a little bit bigger than me, and they want to be Mr. Badass. And I want to tell them, it's like, listen, brother, everyone here knows a little bit of something when it comes to fighting, but I guarantee you that, and I'll point to some giant dude. It's like that guy right there who's putting over 5'7" Joe Blow over here could probably whip all of our asses because his arm length is a foot longer than ours. It's just common sense. Don't try to be Mr. I'm 5'5". I'm going to stand here and go blow to blow with Brick Savage, who's a world champion power lifter, and make me think that I'm going to believe it. It's like,
throws
no.
people 12 feet in the air. It's just
with one arm.
Yeah.
Just, and then like the guy in the main event thinks he's the badass, and he's a whole foot shorter and 100 pounds lighter, and you know what I mean? And it's like,
I go to shows where, like, I know you've seen the video of Shane Mercer. Shane Mercer, the guy who does, I go to shows and he's not the main event, and I don't understand because there's no person like more believable on a deathmatch roster than him right now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, there's a lot of guys that like you walk up to them, and if they didn't have their shirt off, you wouldn't know. I could be one of those guys. There's a lot of guys you walk up to going, "Holy crap, what does he do?" You do something, dude. What do you do? It's like, oh, I just launch people in the air, catch them, and do a backflip.
It's it's one of those baffling, but yeah, stay humble. I mean, that's the biggest. That's going to be your biggest thing. That's going to get you the farthest.
Yes. Another thing I can say, because I deal with a lot of mental health issues with my students, is that your wrestling character, when you are performing, does not define who you are. If you go out and you have a bad night and you bomb horribly, that doesn't mean you suck as a person. But it has nothing to do with who you are as a person. And I get so many guys, it's because they've had 6 months, just a bad 6 months. Oh, I've lost myself. I don't know what to do. These guys don't like me. I accidentally hit this guy a little too hard. And they just start losing the faith in themselves, and they think they as a person suck. And I was like, nah, dude, it's just you're having a rough few months at your job. You're going to get back on track. Just stop beating yourself up.
That's really good advice.
That doesn't apply to just wrestling. That applies to life.
Right. I'm just a wrestler, and so I'm surrounded by wrestling all the time. So you get these young people, and they are performers. They are artists. Anyone that's ever wanted to be a wrestler, I would consider on the same level as an actor. You are an artist, and this is the particular qualifications that you fill for your job as an artist. And artists sometimes cannot just get beaten down with criticisms forever. No, from professionally, from fans, from their coworkers going, "You're hitting me too hard. Kid, you don't know what you're doing. You're too heavy on your feet. You fucking lift your heels up. For God's sake, sell up. Stop selling down." It's just ridiculous things. And so it can get draining, and it makes you feel like you don't know anything and you suck. And in reality, it's like you're learning a lot. But a lot of people just give you the negative criticisms. And then if you just beat yourself up, you forgot how far you've gotten just from where you started. And now you hate yourself. You hate yourself as a performance. You're not enjoying what you're doing. You're not thinking of entertaining the fans and letting them forget about their 80-hour work week. You're more concerned about your thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what this is. It's like, we are here for the audience, right? We're here to give them the reaction. Stop trying to live vicariously through this character. You know what I mean? It's like it's not healthy. It's not healthy at the end of the day.
I've the best advice I've gotten from someone in regards to this is you learn a lot more on a bad day than you do a good day.
At 100%. 100%. I will tell my students that you can go out there and bomb right now in front of a live crowd, and it's better than anything that I will ever teach you in this ring. It's like, because if you can get back up there and do it again, that's something that I cannot teach you. I cannot teach you to go up there in practically your underwear with your genitalia outlines that we can all see in some barn or some shitty rusty warehouse trying to wrestle for the first time and just getting, who are you? And just getting shit on, or you fall on your head, or you fucked up and it's your third match and people are just shitting on you the entire time. It's like, yeah, but you're still that kid who showed up and got your ass kicked in training and went to the gym and busted your ass and learned some stuff, and you know a lot more than you previously did. It gets better. If you can get up and eat shit and eat crow and have those people just down your throat constantly and still just keep going, that's tough. That's a lot tougher than you realize.
It is. That was like, that echoes essentially what my jiu-jitsu coach would say all the time. I was really nervous going into my first tournament. And he looked at me. He was like, every Monday and Wednesday, the 2 hours of work you put in, all the times at the gym, that was the work. This is the fun part. So just remember, when you go out there, you're having fun.
Yes. This is the escape. It's like you get to escape for a little bit. But yeah, dude.
Whether it be for a 60-second squash match or a 30-minute classic.
Yes.
It's an escape, and it's the fun part.
And I consider it all fun. I've been doing this 18 years. There was a good portion where I thought I was the shit. I thought I was, I'm going to get signed. I'm a genius. Oh, I was so good at this wrestling. I didn't know a single thing. But the older I get, the more I realize like the fun part was showing up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays for open ring and traveling down here and working with these guys. And then like, oh, I get to perform on Saturdays. It's all fun. It's like I love this. The only thing I hate is that my body hates this. so like I'm having a blast. My knees are like, you're a dick. So like, but wrestlers for the most part take care of your mental health.
Yes, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, best thing in life. Hey Clint, I got one for you.
What's up?
FMK. Donald, Mickey, Goofy.
Goofy was a great father. He deserved a better son than Max. So I'm going to marry him, and I'm going to take out Max first. And then when I get to prison and see Donald and Mickey there, I'm going to kill Mickey and fuck Donald.
Damn.
I hate the Goofy movie just because Max is a piece of shit.
Okay, he's a teenage boy, but yes, he is a complete sociopath. He's evil.
Yeah, like even as a kid, I'm sitting there going like, Goofy deserves a better son than him.
Yes, absolutely. The entire time, you're like,
entire time.
There's
and
nothing
that
redeeming.
Powerline song slaps. That's about the only redeeming quality about it.
Why do I have a crush on this girl dog? I don't understand. This like
Bro,
8-year-old me was very confused.
It's the Leaning Tower of Jesus.
Oh my god!
So many points in my childhood, I'm going like, am I a furry?
Oh yeah. Why do I have a crush on Ariel from The Little Mermaid?
Do I like fish?
And I was like, oh god, no. That I've ever experienced in my life.
Rachel, I think he did one death match at one point, and he's done with that.
Rachel does
I like this
book
guy. Let's book
non-death
him.
matches.
I have wrestled tons of hardcore matches. I don't call them true death matches because for the most part I was the male model character, so the idea of getting scarred up was just in
vain.
I was
Rachel,
like, oh, you want me to get scarred up? I have to do photos tomorrow for this other show, but let's go ahead and give me just all these blisters and scars. Also, I'm a wimp.
Clint, sure. I just thought of something.
What?
Fantasy book this real quick here.
Okay.
Matt and Alex
Van Zant.
Yeah.
Alex wins the first 10 seconds of the match. Match gets his hot dog, sits second row, and watches the show.
Alex would actually be in with that, and he'd probably get a hot dog with you.
Hell yeah, double dog.
He's the Starbucks superstar. He comes out drinking Starbucks, does coffee talk and shit like that.
Yeah.
He's a very egotistical millennial. It's beautiful.
That's fun.
But my first experience with him wasn't in wrestling. It was him coming over to watch NXT TakeOver with us, and he knew I smoked, so he was trying to be polite when he came over. So he brought me a bag of weed, and it was all steeds and stems. And he was like, yeah, you can roll that up and we could smoke something. So then I had to go in my room and roll my own shit and be like, ah, man, this is great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But if you're ever in Michigan, absolutely come to a show.
I'd be more than happy to.
I feel like if he's in Michigan, he's here because of that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. We've definitely kept you longer than we intended.
Oh, that's nice.
It honestly, it's been a pleasure. I've been following your career since, as we've talked before, since about a couple months before the King of the Gimmick.
Yeah.
And still was a fan because I understood satire. I was an adult.
I'm so happy that gimmick.
You did not lose a fan in me from that.
Well,
and in fact, I almost ordered the t-shirt.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't. I actually There was a fan at Revolver years and years ago that I actually paid him and gave him a shirt to give me that shirt off his back. So can I have that? Because I know 2 people bought this thing when they put it online. And when I had it at the actual day it was debuted, I hid it under the merch table and be like, oh, I don't know where it is, guys, because I don't want them to sell it. I was like, I kind of hid it. And I guess they put it online, like 2 people sold it. So I found one.
And that shit was taken down. Like, I remember it got uploaded on a Monday, and I was like, I get paid on Friday. I'll buy it then. And it was down like the next day.
I got in trouble for that issue because I was tweeting about it in like a tongue-in-cheek satire sense. Because like I thought it wasn't truly available to sell. You know what I mean? I even called them going, let's take this off. This is not a real thing. And I had to call the promotion, be like, could you please call them and tell them not to sell this, please? This is not your face on the shirt. This is my face.
There we go. And Tango, when you go, I'll go with you.
Yeah, come on out. It's every Saturday. I've convinced the owners to, since they won't take Christmas off, to let me take off the days that Revolver comes to Texas, considering that we also help them run out there. And it's one of my closest friends, Sammy Callahan. But every Saturday, if you come out to Texas, if it's a Saturday, we're wrestling.
I got to sit on. I shouldn't say I sat in. I wasn't involved in it. We were setting up sound. We were setting up cameras and everything. And I got to listen to a Callahan seminar in September this year, and it was very good.
Did you get your rematch?
No, we're not talking about that.
We'll talk about that one off the camera.
Did you get the wrestle Callahan at one point?
No, not in that way.
Technically, yes, he did, but in a different way.
Oh no.
Okay,
we're gonna sign off with that.
Okay. So we're gonna rip the Band-Aid off on this. So there is a promotion up here called BCW. It's Border City Championship Wrestling or something like that. Anyway, Scott D'Amore owns it.
Yeah.
So in 2018, I want to say the same bar. 2019, whatever it was, the same line bar that we had seen the Rascals at, which, by the way, fantastic match between Trey and Ace Austin at that. And then it was Desi and Wentz versus, I don't remember who. I'm sorry. Then anyway, so before the show, though, Sammy was there, and Sammy was fighting Brian Cage in the main event.
No, he was fighting Rhino. I got the video from that.
Oh, Rhino. Okay. Sorry about that. He was fighting Rhino in the main event. So before the thing, though, I go to use the restroom. And
let me tell this because you suck. Because this motherfucker walked into that show looking like a narc because he was just out of wrestling school and he didn't want his coach to see him at it. So he went in there with like full beanie on, sunglasses, hood up, and everything, thinking he wouldn't get recognized. He's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. He goes to the bathroom. And then he comes back out disheveled, and he just looks at me. He was like, someone was fucking dying in the bathroom next to me. And we're just like staring at the bathroom to see who comes out next. Out and behold, it was Sammy Callahan. So Ethan just looks at me and goes like, I just played battle shits with Sammy Callahan and lost.
Well, and the worst part was I was trying to be incognito. And then so I was like, yeah, we'll just sit right here and they won't even notice us. I sat by the entrance. I was the first chair next to the entrance.
I like that my friend Sammy is just trying to take a shit, and now that story is a podcast story. he's not even involved.
I couldn't breathe, and then I got to meet him after the show. It was nice. Him and Jessica were great, and they're
wonderful.
Rosemary and Tyra Valkyrie were wonderful people as well.
It was the problem was it's one of those. It was an old like Roadhouse saloon style bar. Yeah. So the ring was set up in the dance floor, and the bathrooms were kind of up on the higher level. But the walls are all cinder blocks, so everything echoes, and there's like nothing. Oh, it was just the acoustics were great if you were there for like a concert or something. Yeah. But they were horrible if you were trying to be discreet. So
let's sign off with telling him the story about the time his friend blew up a bathroom in Belleville, Michigan.
I'm okay with it as long as it's not me. This is great. This is all fun.
He won for what it's worth. I mean,
he won 2 matches that night.
Yeah.
He was 20 pounds lighter. He felt better.
He's a little spry on his feet.
Yeah.
Catch my drift.
Way to end it.
Thank you very much for joining us. This has again been a pleasure of mine as a fan of yours forever. I'm going to continue to be a fan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
This was Matthew Palmer. You can find him at Palmer on his socials. I'm Clinton. You know that. He's Ethan, who gives a fuck. We're on a forklift, and we appreciate you all coming out tonight. Thank you very much, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Love you, Judy.